Let's go. So this is how I put together my first lease option deal, my first rent to own, with only $100 down, which was really mind-blowing for me, even though I didn't even realize it at the time. But this is a story. I had been investing for about 5 years. I was at my corporate job and I was hitting a wall in terms of getting more deals. The banks were saying no to more mortgages and I was running out of down payment money. That's when I came across lease options, and it really stood out to me. I learned that lease option deals could be structured as no money down deals, and they also offered higher than normal cash flow. So I started asking myself, how can I put together a lease option deal? How am I going to find one, and how will I put it together? So my coach told me to start looking at for sale by owner properties. So that's what I did. I started looking on Craigslist, Kijiji, and any other online sources for rental properties and FSBOs. At the same time, I had some friends come to me and say, "Hey Cam, we like what you're doing with real estate investing. We've got no clue where to start, but could we invest with you?" I said, "Sure, let's work at this and figure it out together," even though I really had no clue. So we met several times while I continued searching for properties, analyzing deals, and running the numbers, until I got to the point where I could present a solid deal to these new investors. This was probably the third deal that I brought to them, and this one seemed like a winner. The numbers worked well, the purchase price was good, and we figured that we could make it work. So I ran an analysis on the deal. The basics of the structure were that the investor would purchase the home for $185,000. They needed to put down $32,000 and qualify for the mortgage. Then my job was to find a great tenant buyer, someone who wanted to eventually buy the property, but we'll get into that a little bit later. At the end of the deal, the projected return was a $35,000 profit after getting their money back, setting to double their investment. It actually took a little bit longer than 36 months, but their final profit ended up also being higher. The exit strategy we used was an investor sandwich lease option. That means the investor owns the property, but I control it through paperwork, and I work with the tenant buyers who plan to purchase a property at a future date and price. So to visualize this structure, you've got an investor, you've got the tenant buyer, and then me, the service provider in the middle. It's like a sandwich. 2 pieces of bread and some goodness in the middle that makes it delicious. So this is a house, and this is how a sandwich lease option works. The investor owns it, I control it, and I help the tenant buyer eventually purchase it. My lead source was the for sale by owner model. This strategy made the most sense to me because I wanted to structure the deal as a no money down. Remember, the banks were saying no to me now. Once I had the property under control, I could start advertising it for tenant buyers. That's when I met this couple. They had a solid income. They had $20,000 to put down towards the purchase of this house and needed about 3 years to rebuild their credit to qualify for a mortgage. The deal in a nutshell was this. Through these steps, the investor sandwich lease option was the way to go. At the end of the term, just over 3 years, we finalized everything. You can see here us signing the final paperwork. These are the tenant buyers. They're thrilled because they've been living in the home for several years and now they're qualifying for their own mortgage. In the end, everybody was happy. The tenant buyers got to live in a beautiful home. The investors got great return on the money, and I got to help everyone with a creative lease option strategy. Now, remember earlier when I said that the investor purchased the property, but I control it? That is one of the lease option superpowers. I have a couple of contracts with the owner investor with clauses, and I give them a $100 deposit, which in turn puts me in legal control of the property. Now I'm free to make money from the home. And that's the story of my first lease option